February 18, 2001. Foxstone Park, Northern Virginia. A man taped a black plastic bag to the underside of a wooden footbridge. 12 FBI agents emerged from the trees around him. He was a senior agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He had been spying for the Russians for 22 years. For 22 years, no one had known. This is what was inside the bag. To understand how Robert Hanssen operated for 22 years without being identified, you have to understand what the FBI did not know. In November 1979, Hanssen was a 35-year-old agent assigned to the FBI's New York field office. He had just been transferred into a counterintelligence squad. The work, by his later account, bored him. On the 3rd of that month, without telling anyone, he walked into a department store in Manhattan and bought a typewriter for cash. He typed a single-page letter addressed to a senior officer of the Soviet Military Intelligence Service, the GRU. The letter offered, in exchange for cash, classified information from inside American counterintelligence. The letter was unsigned. He posted it through a Soviet mail drop in New York that he had previously used in his official surveillance work. His full name was Robert Philip Hanssen. He was a graduate of Knox College in Illinois and held a Master of Business Administration from Northwestern. He had joined the FBI in January 1976 after 3 years as a Chicago police detective. He was a practicing Roman Catholic. He was the father of 6 children. He had no debts. No vices that anyone around him could identify. No clear motive. The GRU answered. For the next 6 years, Hanssen ran a small, profitable, and entirely secret relationship with Soviet military intelligence, passing information about FBI counterintelligence techniques in exchange for payments delivered in cash through dead drops in suburban parks. His wife discovered the arrangement in 1980. She confronted him. He told her he had stopped. He had not stopped. He was lying about it for the next 21 years. In October 1985, Hanssen switched. He sent a new letter, this time to the KGB rather than the GRU, through a Soviet diplomat working in Washington. The letter offered, in exchange for $100,000, the names of 3 Soviet officials secretly working for the United States. The KGB agreed. The 3 names Hanssen delivered were the same 3 names Aldrich Ames had delivered to the Soviet embassy 6 months earlier. Neither man knew of the other's existence. This redundancy was, from Moscow's point of view, a confirmation. The 2 American moles, working independently inside 2 different agencies, gave the KGB cross-verification of every Soviet asset the Americans were running. The agents named in both lists were systematically arrested. Most were executed. Within the FBI's investigation into the 1985 asset losses, the assumption, for almost a decade, was that a single source must be responsible. That source was eventually identified, after 9 years of work, as Aldrich Ames. His arrest in February 1994 was treated internally as the closure of the case. Hanssen, meanwhile, continued. Over the next 7 years, he made 26 further dead-drop exchanges with the KGB and its post-1991 successor, the SVR. He passed approximately 6,000 pages of classified material. The material included the existence of an FBI tunnel constructed beneath the Soviet embassy in Washington for the purpose of audio surveillance, the names of additional Soviet defectors in American protection, the complete identity of the FBI's confidential informant network targeting Russian intelligence in the United States. He was paid in total approximately $1.4 million. He spent almost none of it. He lived in the same suburban Virginia house he had occupied since the 1980s. He drove an older model Ford. He attended Catholic Mass every morning at 7. The absence of conspicuous spending was, in the FBI's later assessment, the single most important reason Hanssen was not caught for so long. The internal CIA financial review that had eventually exposed Aldrich Ames was looking for the wrong pattern. What finally produced Hanssen's name was not American investigation, but a Russian transaction. In November 2000, a former officer of the Russian intelligence services made contact with the FBI. He had access, he said, to a complete file from the KGB and SVR archives on one of their most productive American sources. He offered the file in exchange for $7 million and the resettlement of his family in the United States. The Bureau paid. The file arrived in late November 2000. It did not contain the source's name. The Russian handlers had never been told. The file contained the source's letters, the dead drop locations he had used, the cash payment schedules, and, crucially, fingerprint evidence from a piece of paper inside one of the early packages. The FBI ran the fingerprint against its internal personnel database. There were 2 matches against active special agents. One could be eliminated. The other was Robert Hanssen. He had been on the FBI's own staff the entire time the Bureau was paying $7 million to find him. The decision was made not to arrest Hanssen immediately. The Bureau wanted to catch him in the act. It wanted physical evidence, a dead drop in progress, so that no court could later question whether the file from Moscow had been authentic. A new position was created for Hanssen at FBI headquarters. He was promoted. He was placed under continuous surveillance. He was told that he was being trusted with new responsibilities. He believed it. For 3 months, the FBI watched him. He continued to attend morning mass. He continued to live modestly. He continued to communicate with the SVR through a series of carefully coded radio signals and dead drop arrangements that he believed only he and Moscow understood. The drop on February 18, 2001 was the one the Bureau had been waiting for. It was, by Hanssen's standards, routine. The site was a wooden footbridge in Foxstone Park in Vienna, Virginia, approximately 3 miles from his house. The signal that the drop was active was a strip of white adhesive tape placed on a particular street sign. The package contained operational documents from inside the FBI Counterintelligence Division. He had used the same site dozens of times before. The FBI surveillance team that morning had been in position since before dawn. When Hanssen taped the package to the underside of the bridge and turned to leave, the team closed in. There was no resistance. Hanssen, according to the arrest report, asked the lead agent only one question. "What took you so long?" He pled guilty in July 2001 to 15 counts of espionage and conspiracy. In exchange for a full debriefing, the only way the United States government could establish what 22 years of betrayal had actually cost, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole rather than the death penalty. The debriefing took 246 hours. He is, as of this recording, serving his sentence at the Federal Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado. The same prison holds Theodore Kaczynski, Eric Rudolph, and several of the men convicted of plotting the September 2001 attacks. The most striking material recovered from the Russian file was the correspondence. Hanssen had written long philosophical letters to his Soviet handlers, some of them 10 and 12 pages, explaining his motives, complaining about FBI bureaucracy, recommending particular Russian intelligence officers for promotion, and reflecting on his own state of mind. In one letter, written in 1991, he warned the KGB that the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation was, in his estimation, an institution in deep moral and operational decline. "I have come to believe," he wrote, "that the agency to which I have given my career no longer believes in the seriousness of its own work." He continued to write for another 10 years. The Webster Commission report, delivered to Congress in 2002, identified the structural problem that had allowed both Hanssen and Aldrich Ames to operate. American counterintelligence had been built after the Second World War around the assumption that the threat came from Soviet citizens, not from American officers. The procedures used to screen new recruits were rigorous. The procedures used to monitor serving officers, once they had been cleared, were not. The Cambridge Five had relied on the same assumption. So had Aldrich Ames. So had Robert Hanssen. 3 penetrations, 3 different agencies, 3 different decades. The same blind spot every time. This is the secret record. If you want a declassified document fact each day, follow Archon Record Sec 26979 on X.